I'd like to welcome y'all to Secrets from the South. I'm your friend Scotty Ray, along with my co-host Terry. Now, you'll quickly catch on that we don't sound like the man on the 6 o'clock news. We talk a little slower, and we've got a southern drawl. But nonetheless, we've got a great podcast lined up just for you. We'll bring you some interesting stories. They're sometimes crazy and a little unbelievable, but it would be just plain impolite not to share them. So get yourself comfortable. Find some southern charm in a glass of iced tea and enjoy. A few weeks back, I had to stop and buy some gas for my truck. A few aisles over, I heard somebody's radio blasted. It was an old Eddie Money song, I Want to Go Back and Do It All Over Again. And for a moment, it did take me back. It was my birthday that day, and I had way too many candles to blow out when I got home. But it took me back to that time when I was a kid, and the highlight of my birthday was getting to lick the spindles off the blender. Without a doubt, those were great times. But there's been a lot of candles since then, and things have changed with birthday parties. So you guessed it, this week's episode is titled The Birthday Party.
Scotty, my daughter's birthday is coming up, and I am really trying to, I'm kind of struggling with what to get her for her birthday.
New car, a new apartment.
No, well, we're already doing that. So number one, she has a car we're still paying for. She's in college, and she's moving into an apartment next year, so I think we have all of those bases covered. And believe me, even though you set aside a chunk of change through, we do our
savings and
we went through a financial advisor who set her up something so you're paying so much every year. So 529 plan. So by the time that they get to college, the whole idea is that all of it or most of their college is paid for, but you still factor in living expenses and food and things like that, and it adds up. But so we're trying to figure this out. So you think about it, this is a college kid, and their taste gets more and more expensive.
Oh yeah, the older you get, the more your toys cost.
They do. But I was just thinking about, it just seemed like it was just a blink of an eye that she was this young kid. And speaking of that, you just had a birthday.
Yeah, I'm another year older, but happy to have had it. You know that old saying?
Oh yeah, when you get our age, it is a blessing where somebody says, man, I'm getting old. Well, there's that side of it, and then the positive side is, hey, you're here to have that birthday.
So are you one of those at this point in your life, you're glad to have that birthday, but don't make a big deal out of it?
Well, no, I kind of like to, it's kind of happy medium for me. Mine is the day after Christmas. By the time I have mine, everybody's good and tired. They've just celebrated Christmas, and you're kind of an afterthought, but and people still have family there, so you just kind of learn to roll with whatever you get.
And then my wife I always love birthday parties because everybody gets together. But every time I've ever thrown something for Angie, she gets bent out of shape, mad. She doesn't want a crowd. She don't even want to be recognized on it. I don't know why. I don't want
a lot of attention necessarily, but hey, we want to have a gathering and a get together. I'm all for it. But again, like I said, I think it's just unfortunate that mine is the day after Christmas. I've got friends that have theirs actually on, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more so. But back to my daughter, trying to figure out what to get her. I got to thinking, was it easier when she was little or more difficult than she's old? Because when they're little, I guess for me, there was a lot of ignorance on my part in having a birthday party.
Well, you learn as you go. You don't know anything when you start out as a parent.
But let me ask you this. You know as well as I do that birthday parties nowadays, that's an elaborate production.
It is now, yes.
Even for us, and we haven't even gotten into folks that just spend an extraordinary amount of money to have a birthday party for their kid, but just on simple terms. How was it when you were growing up? What did a birthday party look like?
And the birthday party in my entire life was my 5th birthday party. We had it outside in the front yard, and I remember Miss Doris Oss. She was a little lady that lived in our community that taught Sunday school. She'd come over, she'd help my mama bake the cake, and there was 5 kids outside of me and my sister. And we had it in the front yard, and I got a cap gun. And that's all I remember from that, getting that cap gun.
Were you excited about the cap gun?
Yeah, and that may have really been, now that I think back, my only birthday party is why it sticks out. Now that I sit here, I think that was it, Terry.
Did you feel robbed, or did you think that that's just the time that you were growing up was everybody else having birthday parties all the time? Were you attending birthday parties?
Well, you also got to remember now we lived on the rural route, and there probably wasn't but those 5 kids total within probably 30 miles of where we lived. And so I don't know how to answer that because I was never subjected to.
You didn't know any different.
Yeah. It was just that's the way it was in that little small town. And the older you got, the less you had birthday parties.
Well, and I think for me, if I'm thinking about me growing up, we kind of grew up the same time, different communities. But I think for me, I don't really remember that many birthday parties. But again, my birthday was after Christmas.
Yeah. So
and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that my parents didn't love me. I mean, Lord knows I have awesome parents, God rest my dad's soul. But I just don't remember that many of them. But the ones that I did, I know that I always had a birthday cake. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And you may have had a couple of friends over, but it was mainly a couple of friends and family because it wasn't that big a deal then. It's a big deal now. This is the difference that I see.
What's that?
Okay, so you had a birthday cake, maybe got a gift, so you remember the one.
Yeah.
Well, so when my daughter was growing up, and I got schooled on this because either you're attending other birthday parties for for my nephew and then for her friends, and then when she had it, I had never known that, because it wasn't part of our upbringing, that when you have a birthday party, one of the things that's a given is if you're going to have 15, 20 kids, well, each one of them needs to have a happy.
No, whoa.
A little happy is each one of them gets a helium balloon. They get a little gift bag that has candy in it.
So I didn't know this. So if they attend the birthday party, they get a happy just for coming.
Absolutely.
I would be an awful host.
And I don't know anybody that doesn't have a birthday party nowadays. And I'm out of touch because, like I said, I've got a kid who's in college, and birthday parties for us now are if we're lucky enough to steal an hour or two of her time and take her and some friends or her and her boyfriend to dinner or lunch, because she's got plans. They've already lined up something fun for them to do. And while she loves mom and daddy, this is a sidebar to the real event that's going to happen later that evening. With her friends. Yeah, exactly. So, and you're happy for them. You're glad that they're very social and have this in their life. And so, you take what you can get. But when she was little, it was, I remember we rented out a skating ring. And that was a pretty big deal because I remember back in the day, you could have birthday parties while the skating ring was open. The only problem was that there were obviously other kids and could be numerous parties going on at one time.
Yeah.
Or you could spend the money and you could rent it out for, I think there were certain days that you could do it, and you could do it and you had it for so many hours. So we did that, I want to say 2 or 3 years in a row. All of them loved to skate. It just seemed like it was easier to do it that way. But again, there was a lot of planning involved as far as, and a lot of times they would have pizza and soft drinks, and then you could bring in a cake, but you better have those happies for those kids.
We never done this, but I remember as a kid, our McDonald's, if you remember, had a basement in it, and you could rent that.
Oh,
and had
yeah,
a train
yeah.
in it.
Uh-huh.
I never got to go to a birthday party there, but I always heard they had them down there.
Well, you even had like Jeffrey's. They had a little party room. And I remember when my daughter was young, we had a couple of parties at Jeffrey's. That is a booming business, is to have a location where you can, it may be a gymnasium, it could be whatever else, but as a sidebar, or either that is their entire business, is to provide a location for you to have a birthday party.
Correct.
And, it's really becoming a big industry. You and I are we're seeing this from parents who have grown kids.
Yeah, it's totally different now.
And so I can't imagine how elaborate it is now. I hear stories of that, but this is an article that was published in 2018, so I can only imagine what it is now, that says during the past 15 years, children's birthday parties have grown into a diverse $38 billion industry in the United States alone, according to celebration industry analysts. The growth has been sustained during periods of major swings in national and local economies. So think about that. We think about what it takes to put on a birthday party. And again, I told you in the simplest terms, you got to have the cake, the supplies, the location, the venue, wherever you're going to have it. If you're going to have it at a venue, some people may have it at their house or have it at a lake or whatever else. And you got to have the party supplies, and you're going to lay out a couple $100 just to do that.
And I think that would be on the low side.
But what I was going to say is there are other people out there that are forking out thousands of dollars to do a birthday party for a 5-year-old.
Yeah, and then of course, then they hire the people, the characters to come and dress up.
I couldn't imagine forking out that kind of money.
I can't either, because our birthday parties resulted around a cake, maybe a hat, and some candles when we grew up. Now things have just changed so much.
Yeah, and didn't you say there's a little bit of controversy over, the whole deal with every kid typically brings a present?
Yeah. Now, as our birthday parties, you opened it in front of everybody.
Well, you didn't have that many friends to open, so they kind of expected you to open it, and wasn't like you had 20, 25 kids.
Right, and it went pretty quick. But nowadays, it is turned in, and this has become a controversy amongst parents of whether to open the presents or not to open them in front of it. You got some parents who get downright mad because they want to see you open the present that they bought for your kid. And then on the other hand, you've got the parent going, whoa, 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 whoa. And I did not think about all that until I saw a story not long ago, somebody that was upset over it.
What happened?
Well, she went to a birthday party, and the mother was expecting the kids to open the presents. They didn't. So she got online and typed out a note that says, hey, I went to a birthday party and they didn't open the present, and I feel like my kid was shorted because they didn't appreciate the present. And then the mother of the other party reads it and goes, wait a minute now, that ain't the way things really went down. And you do have to think about others. And, I never looked at it from that side of the fence, but think about a child that goes to a birthday party that is invited, that's maybe a member of their class, and the parents don't have the money the other child does. And their present is as big as some of the others. And so they feel kind of bad when the child opens a present and theirs is not as good as what the other ones think.
I think I think that's spot on. And here's why. Going back to the time that my daughter, we had rented out the skating ring, she probably had, 20, 25 kids. Well, first of all, that parent is paying for that venue.
Yeah, and that takes time, doesn't it?
It takes a lot of time for the kids to open up, for your child to open up gifts, especially like I said, you've got grandparents, you've got 20, 25 kids, and they do come from all kinds of walks of life, all kinds of backgrounds. Their parents come from different economical levels, where some parents have got plenty of money to provide a gift. Others do not. Mainly you're probably inviting kids that you either went to church with or they went to school with. And second of all, like I said, you're paying for that venue. So if it's a skating ring, you want those kids want to skate.
Yeah.
They really don't want to sit there and watch you go and watch another child open up a gift, other than if it's theirs. And I think with our daughter, we made the decision to load up all the gifts. The kids got their happies, as I said. I just kind of learned that. And then we opened them up later. You're going to write down who they are, and you're going to send a thank you note. I understand the other side. I just know from our side, it doesn't put pressure on that child or that parent, because, face it, if the child is really young, the parent's got to be there to chaperone that children while they are attending a party. You're not just going to drop them off and leave. It's to save them embarrassment, and some parents and some children will buy an elaborate gift while another child will buy a simple, plain, wonderful gift, but it didn't cost a lot. And when they're at a young age, they may not recognize the differences, but the older they get, they do know the difference in something that may cost less versus something that may cost more. And it takes away from all of them just being able to enjoy the day. So that's why for us, we elected to have our child open the gifts later, recognize the gift, send a card, and be done with it.
So do you think there are some parents that are that type that want to give the best of the best to make their child look better than the other children?
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that it necessarily happened with us, but I think that there's always either they're trying to please, either they're trying to go overboard for whatever reason. Is it to draw recognition to themselves that they gave a wonderful gift, or maybe it's something, it could be something as simple as somebody made something, whatever else, or it had a lot of thought into it. It is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure in putting on the party, and it's a lot of pressure for parents feeling like, let's face it, you're in a classroom of 25, 30 kids, you're going to a good share of birthday parties. Before you know it, that can add up. That doesn't count the birthday parties that you may get invited to that are other cousins and siblings, to other birthday parties where you go to church with other kids, you interact with dance or baseball. Before you know it, it can be expensive for parents.
So are you better off, Terry, to send out a note that says, look, we're having a birthday party, but don't bring a present? Is it really better to do it that way?
Or make a donation. They can make a donation to a good charity, but I don't know. I mean, on the flip side, do they understand why they don't receive a gift? Now, you've heard some things where child had a birthday party and they donated all of it to a good cause. And I mean, I think that is extremely commendable, but these are little kids, and they live for a gift. They live for something to open. It's just, do you open it during the birthday party? Do you not? Here's another thing, Scotty.
Tell me.
When my child was little, I also found out that it's not just good enough sometimes to have a birthday party, especially if you are having a birthday party where you may or may not invite everyone in that child's class. The last thing that you want to do is to eliminate a child from participating, but at least be part of it in some way. And that's why a lot of parents bring cupcakes or a cake to school.
Yeah.
And then you got another celebration where you're having a party later on, like I said, at a skating rink. This has turned into big business. It's a lot different from you and I maybe getting a cake and having one or two friends over. There's an article that's called Kids' Birthday Parties Are Out of Control. It's time for the adults that throw them to get a grip.
And now I have to agree with that statement, because you back and look at this. It is adults putting it on, isn't it, Terry?
Well, look how it's evolved. Like I said, you and I had little plain Jane birthday parties, and that's all we knew.
Yeah.
And our children have pretty elaborate, and now it's at a whole different level.
I can't wait to see what happens when you become a grandparent.
Oh, listen, I'm not going to go overboard. I mean, you do want your kids, everybody wants their child to have a special
moment.
Yeah, and something that you will always remember. What's funny is, we do these elaborate birthday parties when they're 1 or 2, and guess what? They don't remember those parties.
No, they don't.
So who is that really for?
It's yourself.
It's for us. So this goes on to say, it says, these festivities have only grown bigger and more competitive, increasingly expensive, and a lot less fun for everyone involved. So this is about the person that wrote the article, which is Megan Francis, said, like many kids who grew up in the 80s, I went to a few friends and classmates' birthday parties every year, and they were mostly simple, thrown-together affairs. Well, we know, you and I know, that's changed.
Oh, yeah.
It said that they were in for a rude awakening when I had kids. She said by the mid-2000s, I couldn't help but notice that things had changed. Birthday parties had become a lot better planned and executed, often featuring elaborate themes, decor, and entertainment. And they tended to take place in some kind of venue, often nicer than the one in which I got married. Overall, there was just more planners, more parents, more kids, more gifts, which of course leads to more cost, more eyes on the birthday child, and thereby, and higher stakes, should said birthday child melt down out of disappointment over a gift, disagreement over the order of events, or sheer overstimulation. And that was before the rise of social media. And I think what they are saying is absolutely spot on. We are spending more and more money on birthday parties, right? It
is. And if you go and look at this, of what they said the average birthday party costs now, it's going to run about $500 is what they say is what the average cost if you do it, go rent a place. You start adding all that together, Terry, between there and the age of 21, and you take a guess what that figure is of what it'll cost to throw birthday parties to the time of 21.
I have no idea.
$28,000 is the figure they come up with in this survey.
The average cost.
Yeah.
That's unreal. I mean, you think about when you and I grew up, and I know that we had some simple birthday parties. What do you think our parents probably spent on us for birthday parties?
$30, maybe?
I mean, you probably the price of a cake and maybe some little cups and plates that had balloons and something like that that said happy birthday on it. That was it.
Yeah, and then you got a birthday party. All that together, maybe 30, and it could be a lot cheaper than that.
Yeah, I mean, but you wouldn't dare do a birthday party like that now.
Oh, no, you'd be cast out.
You'd be ran out of town.
And which brings to the next point. As we point out on this, birthday party, especially probably from 1 to 5, are for the parents. But have you seen this, and I know you've seen it on social media, where the parents get into the fight more so than the children do at events like this nowadays?
So what are they fighting about?
Kind of like a baseball game, so to speak.
I have been to a birthday party before, and I thought, holy cow, where a parent got hot because their kid did not get the happy that I was telling you about, the little gift they're supposed to have when they leave. You know, and the whole thing, when you look at it, it may be a little tiny bag that's got, I don't know, $2 worth of candy in it.
Right.
Or maybe, like I said, you get a helium balloon, or maybe you got some little tiny little toy that you get to take with you. It didn't cost that much.
And it's not nearly worth an argument.
You let Junior walk out of that birthday party and he's crying and he's all upset somebody took his toy or he didn't get a gift. And I mean, parents can really lose it when in reality they think back later on, and I can only hope that they will, and realize that probably wasn't their best performance. It's one thing to go back and ask, hey, do you have another one? They're upset, they misplaced it, didn't get it, whatever else. But I actually did see somebody and they got hot. I guess they didn't have any more or whatever else. The parent left really unhappy.
You know, and I referenced this earlier, the biggest argument that I've ever seen was a parent that got so upset that the mother didn't let the children at the birthday party open the presents. She waited till later, and the mother got bent out of shape, mad, went to social media, jumped on her. That should have never happened.
No, and I understand that you may have to explain to your child while they didn't see them open up the baby doll or the big truck or whatever else. But, and this is just my opinion, I am on that side where, like I said, when our daughter had the birthday, because of the cost of the venue, I mean, we rented out the whole place. I'm not saying it was extremely expensive, but it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted those kids skating. That's what they came for. And we did have birthday cake, and we did have ice cream, and they had sodas and water and whatever else, and we sang happy birthday. But when it came to actually opening up the gifts, you got 20, 25 kids. That's going to take up a majority of their time that they're not skating.
That's
correct. What we paid for. So we did load them up. And I think it was better, my opinion, because you start throwing all that stuff in a car after they've opened it up. I don't know if Frank gave them the gift, if Sue gave them the gift. You have no idea, because it's just a hot mess. Because some of those kids get involved and they want to take part of tearing the paper open. They're kids. Before you know it, you don't know who gave what. At least you have some way of organizing who gave what, and you can write a nice little thank you letter. The other point to that is, if a kid gave a $3 gift or a kid gave a $30 gift, the other kids know no difference.
That's correct. And we'd like to know your opinion. If you've got a thought on this of whether you should have presents or not have presents, send us an email at secretsfromthesouth.com.
Yeah, you may say something totally different that we hadn't even thought of.
Yeah, and you can find that, again, that's the website there, and it's comments at Secrets from, isn't that the way it is?
It's comments at Secrets from the South. And I'll tell you this, too.
What's that?
They might even want to throw us a party. And I mean a big party, Scotty. I'm in. Are you in?
I'm in. Big parties,
you
I'm
get
all
some
about
cake,
it.
some ice cream, I'm there.
But it has to be, all right, before we get out of this, what's your absolute favorite cake?
I would say mine is an ice cream cake.
Ice cream?
Yes, with caramel and nuts on it. Oh, I'm a sucker for it.
Have you tried, and of course I'm always a sucker for the yellow inside, but the icing, I have got caught up on this whipped icing. I don't want anything else but the whipped icing now.
You like that, don't you?
I can lick a plate.
Well, that's the kind of cake that you're going to have. I want the ice cream cake. Like I said, it's got to have that fudge on top of it.
Yeah.
It's some kind of good. I'm ready.
As a kid, the greatest part of my birthday was getting a new cap gun, cowboy boots, and a new hat. Then it turned into having people over at the house and celebrating big time and everybody having a good time. Well, another year has come and gone. The candles are blown out, and only a few crumbs are left on that whipped icing cake that I had. With the passing of this birthday, what I've learned is simply getting a text from a friend, a card from my kids, and getting a simple I love you. Well, that's the greatest gift of all. We hope you enjoyed our podcast and will continue to listen more. We promise to provide stories that intrigue you, provide a little humor, reflect our heritage and culture, whether it's strange and alarming. Please leave us a review and let us know how we're doing. Let us know whether you liked or disliked. Do you have a story to share? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please email us at comments@secretsfromthesouth.com and provide a brief description of your story along with contact information, and we'll be in touch. Until next time, well, you know a secret. Well, you know your wish comes true if you blow out all those candles.